Hallo et bonjour zu unserem heutigen Live-Chat zum Thema Charge-Syndrom. So, today's live-chat on the theme of charge syndrome and tube dependency. I hope everybody is finding their way towards this chat. We will wait a few minutes so that everybody arrives here. Meanwhile, you can prepare all your questions you have regarding today's topic. So my name is Sabine Marinczek. I'm one of NoTube specialists in tube weaning and tube dependency and treatment of early eating behavior disorders. And I'm here to answer all your questions. The moment we are waiting, a few minutes, so everybody who wants to join this chat gets ready, gets all necessary information. Okay, so I think it works now, as my colleague has posted the link to the video in certain groups. Hi again to all those who have just joined this live chat. So today we are going to deal with today we are dealing with the topic of charge syndrome and tube dependency, or tube feeding, or children with charge syndrome and eating behavior disorders. My name is Sabine Marinczek. I'm a clinical psychologist and medical scientist. I work for NoTube since 7 years. And I'm here to answer all your questions on this topic today. As those of you who have children with charge syndrome might know, many children who suffer from this genetic disorder have severe feeding or eating issues. And many of them are tube fed, some of them even 100%. Some of them can't eat orally, some of them eat a bit orally, some of them eat orally but struggle with weight gain and growth, or only eat food of certain texture and consistency, or are very picky. So if you have any questions, please just let me know. So you can post all your questions directly below this video, I will be able to see it and answer it. Also Sie können gern all Ihre Fragen unter dieses Video posten. Ich werde es dann gleich direkt beantworten. In English oder in Deutsch ou en français. We at NoTube have treated dozens of children who have been diagnosed with Charge syndrome. We also have some testimonials on our website and also some contact data of parents who have children with Charge syndrome and who have undergone one of our treatments, either one of our tube weaning programs, which take place via internet or on site here in Graz in our eating school, or we are Learn to Eat program. That's our program for children who don't have a feeding tube but who suffer from other eating disorders. So I'm awaiting your questions, or if you want to discuss something, please just let us know. Okay, hello Elaine from Malta. Thank you very much for joining us. Great that you're interested in this topic. Please let me know if you have any specific questions or if you're interested in something. Oh, hi Saskia. Nice to have you here. Elaine, maybe you can tell us why you're interested in today's live chat. And hello, Adnil. Thank you for joining us. Okay, thank you, Adnil. No, Linda, sorry. Okay, so you have a son who is 7 years old. Does he have a feeding tube or any other eating disorders? Any problems with eating? And Elaine writes that she has a 6-year-old who is tube dependent and weaning takes years now. And she needs some tips. Well, I don't know the story of your little one, of your 6-year-old child. I don't know the medical history, but if weaning takes years, there's certainly a problem and one needs to address this. I don't know if you have already some professional help regarding the weaning. Linda. Okay, so your child can eat, but does not always feel hungry. No problem about the English. Okay, so does your child have a feeding tube, or is it does he eat orally but has some problems and doesn't feel hungry? Okay, so he has a feeding tube, a back tube, a G tube, or an NG tube. Okay, so continuous feeding. Okay, yeah, that's the problem. Children who are tube fed continuously all through the day are not hungry. Of course, he isn't hungry. Um, and you need a supervised weaning for that to help your child eat more. Okay, so from back tube, it's a supervised professional treatment. You need to tube wean your child. That's what we offer. We offer the net coaching and we offer our eating schools here in Graz to help tube-fed children learn to eat. It's great, Linda, that your child is already eating something, but of course he can't be hungry when he is tube-fed, and one needs a supervised reduction of tube feeds by a medical team, by a professional team, in order to get along with the tube dependency. Of course, 7 years on tube feeding is quite a long time, so it is not easy to overcome this obstacle of tube dependency, but we have treated many children at this age, and it might take some time, but of course, if you're already dealing for years with the weaning, I think you need some professional help from an experienced team, and you're very welcome to sign up for a free evaluation with one of my colleagues, just to share the story of your child, and then we can advise you which program would suit you best. Unfortunately, it is not easy just to give tips on tube weaning, because that's not how it works. It's a medical treatment, because it's one has to ensure that this child is safe from a medical point of view. So it needs to be hydrated well, and needs to have basic caloric requirements, and also oral stimulation. But you need a professional team to do that. Okay, thank you, Jan. Hello again. Jan is asking, what are the common signs that a child is dependent on a PEG tube? Is there obvious signs? Yes, there are. Tube dependency means that a child is basically able to eat orally from a medical point of view. That means the child is not in medical danger or undergoes a surgery or something like that, but is medically stable and allowed to eat orally, but doesn't do it. Signs of tube dependency are oral aversion, even tactile aversion in some kids, so the kids won't even touch food. Some kids even won't like to be in the same room with food. So that's the severe cases of tube dependency. Furthermore, the children don't tolerate tube feeds very well. So a lot of them vomit. One of our recent studies showed that 50% of all tube-dependent children vomit regularly. So that means that these children get tube fed but vomit up to 40 times a day. And as you can imagine, that's a very, very hard to stand for the children and also for the parents, because you can't have a social life, you cannot go out because you have to worry that the child vomits and so on. Other signs are reflux from tube feeds, food refusal, retching, gagging. Yeah. Second question from Jan is, does the time to wean off a tube have any relation to time in ICU? For example, the longer they have been in ICU with oral trauma, the more difficult to wean. No. From our point of view, the time in the ICU does not have a big influence on the grade of tube dependency. Influence variables on tube dependency are duration of tube feeding. So if a child is fed for many years, of course, the dependency is more, and also age of the child. We have seen that children under the age of 1 don't have mental tube dependence, which means they don't identify themselves with the feeding tube. But children at age 2, 3, or 4, they already know that they are somehow different, that they have a foreign body in their stomach, and they also know that not eating somehow makes them a bit special. So if a mental tube dependence if a child also shows signs of mental tube dependence, then it is harder to wean, but of course not impossible. Okay. Hi, Sylvia. Sylvia writes that she has a son called Finn who gets 3 years old. He's on a feeding tube, eats a little bit but doesn't drink anything. Okay. And he is only 73 centimeters long and has 6.7 kilos, can't sit. Okay, yeah, so obviously in your son the tube feeding is not at all beneficial, because it seems that he doesn't gain weight adequately. Is that right? In fact, it is great that he already eats a little bit. It is not a problem that your child can't sit. So it is not a precondition for a wean that a child is able to sit or to walk or to stand up on its own, because even little children, newborn, are able to drink and able to live without a feeding tube. So also children who are not able to sit or have a severe motoric development are able to learn to feed orally. Okay, Linda writes that her son also had some mitochondrial illness, and he never has had a good hunger feeling. Yeah, of course, that's what we see in many children, and children who are tube fed all through the day can't be hungry. It's like if you drink 2 liters of high caloric fluids, you won't either be hungry. We have treated a lot of children with mitochondrial illnesses, and one has to evaluate very carefully if they need a special diet or something like that. But if you want to have to let us have a closer look at your child's case, please feel free to send an email or book a free evaluation. The link is above. But it sounds as if you would benefit a lot from professional treatment. Oh, hello, Anne-Marie. How nice to read from you. Anne-Marie is the mom of Annabelle, who is already 2 years tube-free. Congratulations. It was a big pleasure to work with you and help you weaning your daughter. I'm sure she's still cute. So happy that she's doing well. So Sylvia, okay. Yeah, unfortunately, many children on full tube feeding don't grow well because they don't tolerate the tube feeds well. So they vomit a lot, as said, or they have severe diarrhea or different things, and therefore they don't grow well. So the reason why they get a tube is to help them grow and gain weight, but it doesn't happen. And in this case, one always needs to consider a supervised tube weaning, because in many cases it gets better when the child eats orally. Because the unnatural way of feeding via a feeding tube, when you pour a certain amount directly into the child's stomach or jejunum, is some children simply can't tolerate that. And if the child is medically stable and allowed to eat orally, one should try a wean if the tube feeding is not beneficial anymore. And about a third of all tube-fed children tube-dependent children are underweight, despite the fact that they are 100% tube-fed. So, yeah, this is something one needs to address. Some doctors always tell the parents just to give more tube feeds and more tube feeds and more calories, but the problem is that children don't tolerate it and vomit it. And yeah, it's a very, very difficult situation for many parents, and they're, of course, very exhausted. Andi, hi, Dankeschön. Okay, Linda, I'm sorry that your doctors on site are not able to help you, but maybe we can. We will be glad to have a closer look at your son's history and tell you what we can offer. Good thing is that we offer treatment over the internet, so you don't have to come to Austria or don't have to find a therapist on site. So we all already had parents from Malta and families from Malta who worked with us. So maybe we can help you. Would be a pleasure. Okay, Sylvia writes that Finn is interested in food, but he isn't able to swallow, but he can swallow. Yeah, that's the most important fact, that we know that child can swallow. There are some illnesses when children can't swallow safely, e.g. severe cerebral palsy, and they are at risk for aspiration, or they simply don't have a swallow reflex. In this case, of course, the child needs to be in a feeding tube. But if a child can swallow but just won't do it because it's tube dependent, then one needs supervised treatment. That's important, because just exercising while a child is on full tube feeds is not a great, you don't have a benefit of that. It's like learning to swim without water. Just doesn't work. So you need a team who is doing the weaning while at the same time exercising on oral feeding. And if a child like yours, Sylvia, who can't sit on his own, we would also advise you how to feed. If you use a bottle or a spoon or a special needs bottle or whatever, and also regarding the consistency of the feeds, because that very much depends on the child and its abilities. Elaine writes, food supplement milk is not allowing him to feel hungry. That's the main problem, I think, for my son. Yeah, you're certainly right. Problem is my son is not putting on weight in 3 years, and as said, he's 6 years. Yeah, that's exactly the problem I described before, that the children stop gaining weight on the high caloric feed because they don't tolerate it well. In this case, of course, one needs to find a solution, which can be supervised weaning. Of course, one has to assess every single case carefully, but not gaining weight for 3 years is definitely a problem. Okay, hello Ashley. Ashley writes, we keep hearing from doctors that my son needs to grow to be able to handle volume. He has had tube his entire life, but is now eating some orally through a behavioral program. He still doesn't like eating, especially doesn't like drinking. The volume intolerance is hard to understand as small babies can handle more than him. Yeah, so the volume tolerance is a very individual thing. Why some babies can tolerate tube feeds up to 1 liter a day, other older children are not even able to tolerate single feeds of portions over 50 milliliters. And that's the problem with tolerance. Unfortunately, from our point of view, it is, or from our experience, it doesn't help that the child grows just to tolerate larger volumes. Problem is they won't grow if they don't tolerate larger volumes, and that's just a reaction to the unnatural way of feeding tube. Yeah. So I don't know, Ashley, if you're already have undergone a tube weaning program or if you're considering it. And if your child is affected by Charge syndrome or if he's allowed to feed orally. Jan asks, if a child gets sufficient daily calories and liquid via bump at night, can we go 6 to 12 hours between feeds in the day to induce hunger? Is this safe? I have heard this liver starts compensating after 6 hours. That's something I can't answer because that's very, very individual. Some children can, some children are in medical danger if you do that. So this is very individual and based on the child's age, weight, height, medical condition, developmental age, pre-existing oral skills, grade of tube dependency. So this is something a team has to address who is experienced in this matter. Otherwise it can get very, very dangerous if you just stop tube feeding for a certain time without medical advice. Tanja schreibt zu ihrer Tochter, die auch 3 Jahre alt ist und auch ein Leichtgewicht mit 74 Zentimetern und 6,7 Kilo. Die Tochter ist letztes Jahr von unserem Team entwöhnt worden. Linda, you're welcome. Of course, yeah, please leave us a message or book a free evaluation. We are happy to help. Hello, Matthias. Matthias is asking, hello, my son has a tube since January. We are now at the point that we do not have to use it anymore as he's eating all orally. Great, congratulations, that's perfect. At the moment he eats only fluid. He drinks 4 times a day 250 ml of Infantrini mixed with cake or baby milk. He gets about 1,100 calories per day. Is that enough for a 26-month-old boy with Down syndrome, and why is he still sometimes vomiting? Well, first of all, congratulations that your son doesn't need to use his tube anymore. Drinking 4 times 250 ml is great. The calorie amount also looks great for his age, but of course I would need to know more about his growth and medical history to give full advice. You're very welcome also to send us an email or to book a free evaluation. I don't know why he's vomiting. Maybe he suffers from reflux. I don't know if there have been any examinations. Of course, one needs to keep in mind that a child who lives on only fluids at this age, which is not really age appropriate, pure fluids also trigger vomiting much more than purees or solid food. So if you want to get help with transition to solid food or pureed food, you're very welcome to contact us. We've worked with many children with Down syndrome with the problem that they only drank formula but didn't eat. So I'm sure we would be able to help. Ashley, yeah, it sounds quite familiar to us, what you describe. Katja, hallo. Katja schreibt, sie und ihr 7 Monate alter Sohn sind mitten im Net-Coaching. Der Sohn 100% sondiert, die Mama 100% mit. Nach ein paar Tagen fühlt er sich bereits besser, mehr Körperbeweglichkeit, mehr Körperspannung, kein Erbrechen mehr. Wir gehen voller Zuversicht mit euch den Weg weiter. Danke. Vielen Dank, das ist sehr, sehr nett und ich werde das natürlich auch weiterleiten an unser Team. Das ist etwas, das wir Gott sei Dank sehr oft sehen, dass die Kinder, wenn sie nicht mehr voll sondiert werden, sich viel besser fühlen und sich auch vor allem motorisch viel besser entwickeln, einfach nicht den ganzen Tag damit beschäftigt sind, zu verdauen oder dass ihnen übel ist oder dass sie erbrechen, sondern dass sie einfach ihr volles Potenzial entfalten können. Und was auch gerade bei den älteren Kindern, jetzt vielleicht noch nicht mit 7 Monaten, aber bei den älteren langsondierten Kindern immer mal wieder sichtbar ist, dass die Sprachentwicklung einen sehr großen Sprung macht, sobald sie ihren Mund benutzen. Okay, Zoe, welcome. Zoe writes that her son has 18 hours of feed a day. He has only 8% of his bowel and no colon. He's on Peptamen Junior Advanced and with 6 mL an hour. He can eat as well. Okay, great that your child is able to eat. I guess with this condition he might also be on parenteral feeding, not only on tube feeds. Is that right? Silvia, ja. Wir können sehr gerne Deutsch schreiben. Also der Finn hat einen Therapiestuhl, in dem er super sitzen kann zum Füttern. Er ist nur breiiges, ohne Stücke. D schluckt er nur, wenn man es ihm mit dem Finger wieder in den Mund gibt. Er darf erst von den Ärzten aus. Und der Finn hat ein Charge-Syndrom. Ja, wunderbar. Also breiiges ohne Stücke ist ein sehr, sehr guter Anfang. Toll, dass das schon klappt. Fingerfeeder ist natürlich auch ein Tool, mit dem man ganz gut beginnen kann. Super, dass er auch von den Ärzten aus essen darf. Ich meine mich auch an euer Assessment zu erinnern. Und ja, also das klingt danach, dass der Finn wirklich schon toll vorbereitet ist und eine Entwöhnung eventuell bald überlegt werden sollte. Super jedenfalls, dass er schon einen Therapiestuhl hat und sich für Brei interessiert und auch Flüssigkeit schon ein bisschen geht. Das ist großartig. So, okay, 63 mL an hour, okay. Understand. Yeah, with a continuous feed of 18 hours a day, the child can't be very hungry, and it's great to read that your son is able to eat. Yeah. Is it a G tube or is it a jejunal tube? Oh, hi Pille, how nice to read from you. Pille, whose son Revo has also Charge syndrome, and he was weaned from our team in 2014-2015. So the last tube water was in January 2015. They're struggling with Revo wanting to eat by himself and also to be able to chew and to eat pieces. In addition to doing the Learn to Eat program, is there other things to pay attention to? Or is that something charge specific that might say poor is forever? Okay, so no, there's nothing charge specific, which means that a charged child is not able to eat solid food. That's not true, of course not. Also, a child with charge syndrome can learn to eat solids. One just needs to keep in mind that some charged children have some anatomic issues. So one needs to examine if the child is allowed to eat solid food. If that's the case, many children with feeding tubes and also many children with CHARGE syndrome have sensory issues. So they struggle with changes in consistency, and it's always good to have occupational therapy to deal with these things. And as Billy wrote, our Learn to Eat program might also give some recommendations on how to make the transition from purees or fluids to solid food. Of course, the child needs a certain developmental age to do that. So a child needs to sit stable and on his own to learn to eat solids. It is also possible to come to one of our eating schools in order to make the transition from a puree to another consistency. And one has to be very careful and not force things, because as said, children with CHARGE syndrome might have sensory issues, and they are very, very sensitive regarding textures. Some of them not only in the oral region, but also when touching certain things. Some don't like to get dirty. So that's something one has to work on carefully with therapeutic help, but it can be very successful also in children with CHARGE syndrome. Really, yeah, in Rivo's case, that's what I think. Yeah, so in his case, I would definitely think that he can make steps, further steps in his eating development. So one needs to be experienced in this regards. Of course, not every occupational or sensory integration therapist is trained in oral eating and in feeding. So it's always good to have a specialized team. And what is very important is that the parents have also someone who is guiding them, because they are the ones who are with the child for almost every meal. So you need a close support on how to deal with your meal times. Working on the topic only once per week or once every other week is certainly not sufficient, as one needs intensive therapy. So okay, I think you mean necrotizing enteritis. Maybe this is just a typo, anti-cot. Hello, Chrysler. Not sure if I pronounced it correctly. Hello, welcome to our chat. So, for those of you who don't know what CHARGE syndrome is about, it's a genetic syndrome, a congenital genetic syndrome, a malformation syndrome. And the malformations are coloboma of the eye. Most cases a heart issue. Choanal atresia. Malformations in the genital region, problems with growth, as well as malformations of the ear. So it's a bunch of problems children with this condition go through, and many of them are, when they are born, they are severely ill and need acute medical support. Some of them, or many of them, are born premature. They need surgery right after birth and are medically really unstable for the first few weeks of their lives or even month. So of course, most of them get a feeding tube right away after birth, just to survive. Yeah, I think signing up for the Learn to Eat program would be a good step in the first case. Then one can discuss things. So the Learn to Eat program is done, for those who don't know, by one of our feeding therapists. And they are guiding you via internet, via our specialized online ticket system on a daily basis, and tell you exactly how to feed your child, what to feed, what changes you can make in order to help your child make the transition to the next level of eating. And this can be booked on a monthly basis. So you sign up for 1 month, and then you can decide if you want to go on or if you want to have a break, and sign up for another month for as long as you want. That's for all children who don't have a feeding tube anymore or are not tube fed anymore, but have undergone a weaning and now need support to move further in their eating development, just like in Rivo, who is able to eat liquids, drink liquids or eat purees, but not solids yet. Or if you have a child who never had a feeding tube but has feeding issues such as highly selective eating or infantile anorexia or growth problems. Hallo Heidi, liebe Grüße zurück. Wir freuen uns auch schon sehr, wenn ihr im Juni zu unserer Sondentagung kommt. Anfang Juni wird es in Graz eine große Tagung geben zum Thema Sondenmanagement in der Pädiatrie, wo eben auch die Heidi und der Nico uns besuchen werden. Und wer sich dafür interessiert, sehr, sehr gerne, kann jeder gerne kommen. Es wird in der Grazer Kinderklinik stattfinden und es gibt ganz viele spannende Vorträge zum Thema. Silvio fragt, besteht die Möglichkeit, dass wir es alleine schaffen, dass Finn isst und trinkt, ohne dass er die nasale Sonde braucht? Er verspürt Hunger und fordert sein Essen auch ein. Kann uns auch genau sagen, ob er essen und trinken möchte. Wir werden zu Hause auch von unseren Hauskrankenpflegern unterstützt, dass Finn isst und trinkt. Das ist eine gute Frage, die ich natürlich gerne mit Ja beantworten würde. Ist aber sehr schwierig. Gerade ein Kind, das medizinisch sehr fragil ist und eben ein genetisches Syndrom zum Beispiel hat. Es kann sehr gefährlich werden, das Kind selber versuchen zu entwöhnen, weil es einfach für Menschen, die nicht täglich damit zu tun haben, schwierig ist zu entscheiden, wann muss ich jetzt sondieren, wann ist es okay, die Sonde zu ziehen, wie viel muss mein Kind nehmen, auf was muss ich achten. Auf welche Zeichen meines Kindes muss ich achten, ob es genug hydriert ist, solche Dinge. Also ich kann nur sagen, dass es leider Gottes, wir schon viele Kinder gesehen haben, wo es die Eltern selber versucht haben und das nicht gut ausgegangen ist, bis hin zu eben so, dass das Kind wirklich dann medizinisch nicht mehr stabil war. Also wie gesagt, wir machen das ja täglich und das ist unser Job, Sondenentwöhnung zu machen, aber Eltern machen es für gewöhnlich nicht oder haben ein betroffenes Kind und dadurch ist es natürlich und gleich schwieriger. Es ist einfach eine hochspezialisierte Behandlung, die man braucht, um ein Kind wirklich erfolgreich und sicher von der Sonde zu entwöhnen. Aber wie gesagt, bei uns gibt es eben, weil es verständlicherweise gerade Kinder, die schon so viel im Spital waren und viel von zu Hause weg waren, dass man dann nicht mehr möchte, dass man irgendwo hinfahren muss für die Entwöhnung und da vielleicht auch noch länger bleiben. Deswegen bieten wir eben das Net-Coaching-Programm an, wo das Kind wirklich in seinem sicheren Zuhause bleiben kann und die Eltern quasi täglich mit uns übers Internet kommunizieren und über spezialisiertes Ticketsystem, wo Videos angeschaut werden, wo Infoprotokolle hochgeladen werden, wo jeden Tag ein Bericht gebracht werden muss, dann in diesen Fällen ist es einfach, die Kinder können im Zuhause bleiben und dort in ihrem gewohnten, vertrauten Umfeld das Essen lernen müssen. Dafür nicht in eine Einrichtung kommen oder gar ins Spital gehen. Sabine, hallo. Sabine schreibt, meine kleine Tochter Ellie hat auch ein Schaltsyndrom und man hat mittlerweile und kann mittlerweile ganz gut essen, nimmt sogar langsam zu, das ist ja super. Wir kämpfen immer mit einer starken Verschleimung wegen der Koronalagressie und wahrscheinlich dem Schluckverhalten, welches nicht ganz so regelmäßig ist. Hättet ihr einen Tipp, was man gegen eine Verschleimung tun kann? Also ich weiß nicht, was ihr bis jetzt schon dagegen gemacht habt oder ob es spezielle Konsistenzen gibt, die die Verschleimung verschlimmern. Es gibt Kinder, die können zum Beispiel mit der breiigen Nahrung, die verschleimt sie mehr, andere können mit puren Flüssigkeiten nicht so gut umgehen. Oder ob es auch daran liegt, was ihre Tochter zu sich nimmt. Zum Beispiel, ob es Milchprodukte sind, die eher die Schleimproduktion anregen. Schluckverhalten nicht ganz so regelmäßig ist bei Charge-Kindern sicher ein kleines Problem. Aber wie gesagt, wenn man die Konsistenz gut hinkriegt, sodass die Kinder das gut abschlucken können, dann kann man das auch ganz gut in den Griff kriegen. Aber das ist eben wichtig, herauszufinden, was am besten geht für das Kind. Silvia, super, dass ihr schon für das Netcoaching angemeldet seid. Finn klingt schon sehr, sehr gut vorbereitet für das ganze Abenteuer. Und es scheint so, als würde er seine Sonne bald loswerden wollen. Ian, please give more details about month-to-month feeding program. Okay, so this is the Learn to Eat program. It's for children without feeding tubes or children who have already underwent tube weaning and need further support. This program can be booked on a monthly basis. Prior to that, you have to do the assessment, where we look up your child's medical, social, and biometric history, and then decide if it is suitable for a Learn to Eat program. The Learn to Eat program is a telemedical program, so via the internet. You are in contact with one of our therapists every day, also on weekends and on holidays, for at least a month. And after this month, you decide together with the therapist if you go on for another month or if you make a break or if your child comes to an eating school. So this is very individual. And you get tips regarding, well, it very much depends on the child, on the reason why you undergo the program. But first of all, you define goals with the therapist and then you work towards them. And you leave daily messages about the day and all the meals, and you get an answer from the therapist on a daily basis. Yeah. Please let me know if you want what else you want to know about the Learn to Eat program. Okay, gibt es noch weitere Fragen? Are there any further questions? For those who have signed up for our monthly newsletter, there is also a blog post about charge syndrome written by one of my colleagues, including also a short story of a little girl with charge syndrome and tube dependency and her way towards oral eating. So this might be interesting for you. In case you haven't signed up for the monthly newsletter by now, you can do that on our homepage, notube.com. There are also testimonials included, and every month you get a blog post about our topic of the month, which has been prematurity in February, esophageal atresia in March, and now it's charge syndrome. Next month we will deal with diaphragmatic hernia. My colleague just posted the links on how to sign up for the newsletter. Also, wenn Sie sich noch nicht für unseren monatlichen Newsletter angemeldet haben, können Sie das mit dem jetzt gerade geposteten Link gerne tun. Da erscheint eine Box mit Subscribe. Da wird dann monatlich ein Newsletter ausgesandt, und in diesem Monat geht es eben ums Charge-Syndrom. Da gibt es einen Artikel dazu von meiner Kollegin mit auch einer Fallgeschichte von einem Kind, das Charge-Syndrom hat und von voller Sondenernährung zum oralen Essen gekommen ist. Und in diesen Newslettern wird eben über das ganze Jahr, über unsere monatlichen Spezialthemen berichtet. Im nächsten Monat wird es die Zwerchfellhernie sein. Okay, so if there are no questions left, I would say a big thank you for everybody who has joined this chat. I hope you got some answers. If there are any further questions, then please feel free to send us an email or book a free evaluation. You're welcome to contact us anytime. We would love to help. And we're looking forward to next month's live chat, who will again be announced via Facebook. So you will get an update. It will be about diaphragmatic hernia. My colleague Aurélie Charrière will do the live chat and will answer all your questions. And we're looking forward to see you again, or to talk with you in a free evaluation, or to get your emails. Okay, so thank you very much. Vielen Dank an alle und bis zum nächsten Mal.